Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem B'chai Kodash. Double honors to my teachers, the head apostles and elders, the great millstone, and Kazak Shalom to the for elect. Topic today, man, these kids are demons, man. We'll get right into it. Ephesians 6:1, it says, children, obey your parents and the Lord, for this is right. So the scriptures stress obedience. We know from the example of King Saul, when he didn't do what the Lord wanted and how hard he fell from grace and eventually losing the kingdom, because obedience is better than sacrifice. He thought if he did things his way, he could still please the Lord, and that is not the case. Verse 2, it says, honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, right? Because this type of obedience to the Lord will prolong your days. Matter of fact, Exodus 20:12 says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee. So these things, when I say these things, I mean the commandments, statutes, the precepts, all the things that the Lord command us to do. These things lead to eternal life and prevent us from the snares of death. Verse 4, and you fathers provoke not your children to wrath. So just like the Heavenly Father, we try to show mercy. But if you're wrong, you're wrong. And as a father, it's my job to correct it. But bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, right? These things are important. When we raise up a child, we grieve the enemy. Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 30, verse 3, it says, he that teaches his son grieveth the enemy, right? We teach you right from wrong according to how Bashem Yahushua standards, not the world standards. These are the things that make us different. These are the things that make us stand out. And our enemy, our chief enemy, is Esau Edom. But anybody who is in the anti-Messiah spirit is considered an enemy. And that's definitely 2/3 of our people. Because they are going to be the ones that teach your sons and daughters it's okay that if you want to be the opposite gender. These are the ones who are going to teach your sons, daughters, all the young men and women of our nation, all the nigger culture, the things that ultimately lead to death. So when we teach our children the right way, it's vexing to them. And that's why Lot was vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked, the things that they do, because he was righteous. And wickedness and righteousness cannot coexist. One is going to overpower the other. He that teaches his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice of him. So how do we teach our sons and daughters? Break down these scriptures to them. I started Deuteronomy 6:4. Deuteronomy 6:4 says, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one, Yahweh. And that's Shammai, Yasharallah, Yahweh, Allahayanawa, Yahweh, Echad. That verse right there is the Shammai prayer. And thou shalt love Yahweh thy power with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. Now, how do you know you love the Lord? By keeping the commandments to the best of your ability. Having faith in Yahweh while Yahweh Shai, in your actions match your words. I can't tell you I love you if I constantly lie to you. I can't tell you I love you if I'm doing the things that you tell me not to do. And that's why the Lord gets angry with us sometimes, but he has mercy until it gets to a point where he's fed up and it's over with and you receive judgment. And how much judgment you receive is up to the Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day, what words? The commandments shall be in thy heart. Why? Because they ultimately teach you how to be a better person. They teach you how to please Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. And that's the number one thing in every Israelite's life, serving the Lord how he wants to be served, not doing what you want to do and being rebellious. Like we said, rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and the penalty for witchcraft is death. Deuteronomy 6 and 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. So this is an example of meditating on the precepts. We're constantly talking about these things. They're constantly on the forefront of your mind. So when it's actually time to enact them, it's second nature. This is Joshua 1:8 personified. If I'm constantly telling you about the things that please the Lord, it's going to be part of your everyday life. It's going to be like second nature, just like brushing your teeth. Deuteronomy 6 and 8, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thy eyes. Let's see something. I went into that word frontlet. This is bands, phylacteries, frontlets, mark. The small black box on the forehead is the frontlet. I don't like the small head images I got before, but that's fine. Point being, these scriptures are constantly in your mind. And we instill that fear of the Lord to let you know if you don't do these things, again, like I mentioned earlier, there's judgment on the way. So Deuteronomy 6 and 8 again, and I shall bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thy eyes. And I shall write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. You can go to brother's house, his scriptures up. You know what I'm saying? We got books and posters and all types of stuff to constantly remind us of the Lord. To this very day. And we understand kids going to be kids, but we understand the difference between a mistake and somebody being a demon. And I brought up the example of Elijah and the she-bears because kids aren't necessarily, not necessarily. If you're a woman, if you had hit the flower of your age, you're still considered a child. And as a young boy before you're 12, you're considered a child. So you're not held to the standard of the law, but that don't mean the Lord won't judge you. In 2 Kings 19, and I'll read a couple verses down. And the men of the city said unto Elisha, behold, I pray thee, the situation of this city is pleasant, as my Lord seeth, but the water is not, and the ground barren. And he said, bring me a new cruse, and put salt therein. And they brought it to him. And he went forth unto the spring of the waters, and cast the salt in there, and said, thus saith the Lord, I have healed these waters. There shall not be from thence any more death or barren land. So the waters were healed unto this day, according to the saying of Elisha, which he spake. And he went up from thence unto Bethel. And as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of thy city, and mocked him, and said unto him, go up, thou bald head, go up, thou bald head. So it's talking about bald head, bald head. You can imagine it today. These YNs are some badass kids. You bald head ass nigga. No, you shouldn't be using that type of language. Verse 24, and he turned back and looked on them and cursed them in the name of the Lord. So he threw a curse on them. Yahweh Bashem Yahshua, and look what happened. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood and tear 42 children of them. So the Lord sent judgment. And that type of judgment is coming because guess what? These are the same spirits back on the earth that chose Barabbas over Yahweh Shah. These are the same spirits, rebellious spirits that were brought before the congregation and were stoned. This is Deuteronomy 20, and this is the law. Deuteronomy 21:18. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which shall not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them. So what does that mean? You give him chance after chance after chance. We done whooped your ass. We done sat you down. We done talked to you, but you will not listen. Then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him. They're going to grab him and bring him out unto the elders of the city and unto the gate of his place. So you're going to do what you can to keep these things in-house. And then once they get out of hand, this needs to be brought to the elders, which is essentially bringing it to the Lord. And they shall say unto the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones. And that's exactly why we are dealing with this YN epidemic right now. These iPad babies are running amok because there's no structure. There are no real consequences. Because Esau will take your kids if you discipline them how they need to be disciplined. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones that he die. So shalt thou put evil away from among you, right? Because if you don't put that away, that one fucked up seed is going to, that one fucked up apple, grape, whatever you want to say, is going to ruin the whole bunch. And all Israel shall hear and fear. Because that's a major deterrent, knowing like if I fuck up, if I don't change my ways, I'm going to die. Isaiah 51:20. Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets. That's why these young niggas is gangbangers now. Every corner store, every liquor store, posted at every park, in they hood, on they whatever you want to call it, as a wild bull in the net. So these young niggas are crazy, reckless. They are full of the fear of the Lord, the rebuke of thy power. So they are stricken with madness. All from this westernized society and being raised by Keisha. And the northern kingdom tribes ain't no better, but the southern kingdom is definitely worse when it comes to this. These effeminate-ass women are raising effeminate-ass young men who know how to find a switch and credit card scam before they learn how to cut the damn grass. We're in a society where whoredom is promoted. Plus, on top of that, the external spiritual forces, and the kids being exposed to the, what community. The Lord has done a number on us and these kids. And this is more proof that we need to get out of here. More proof how important these scriptures are and our heritage is to us, so we can avoid the snares of death. So again, the scriptures talk about honor thy mother and father. That word in Hebrew is kabod. It means to reverence and to show respect. And there is a total lack of respect For majority of all these kids, except for brothers' kids, and even some brothers, their kids is fucking demons, man. We've experienced it. We share the stories amongst ourselves. We waiting in the kingdom to get our children back. Right now, stay locked in. Focus on the mission. The Wadi Al Bashim Al Shafi give me the spirit of this lesson. Until next time, Shalom.